You see, the major problem with conflict is not that it happens. That's a fact of life. Anytime you put two people together, there's going to be conflict. That's just a fact of life. The real issue in conflict is how we respond to it. How do we talk about conflict if we talk about it? How do we try to resolve conflict if we try to resolve it? That becomes the issue. Now, here's where this really happens. Each couple is made up of two personalities. And usually those personalities are polar opposites. You've noticed that? Usually those personalities aren't exactly the same personalities. And so, let's talk about the personality types. I know there's all kind of different, there's the disc and there's the sanguine and melancholy. I'm just going to really dumb it down and simplify it because I'm a simple guy. Two basic personality types is the introvert and the extrovert, okay? The introvert is the person who gains energy by spending time alone. Conversations and crowds are draining. The introvert is a person that when they're in a conversation with somebody, if it goes longer than 30 seconds, they're just wiped out. They're looking at their watch. They can't wait to get out of there and just go park in front of a TV set somewhere or just do something by themselves. For the introvert, a good day is a day where the phone doesn't ring at all. Nobody stops by. They can just be alone by themselves. That's the introvert. All right. Now, the extrovert is the exact opposite. The extrovert is a person who thrives on being around others. So, the introvert is characterized by the turtle in his shell. The extrovert, that's Tigger, okay? So the extrovert is a person, they're energized by crowds. They're energized by conversation. They love being in places where there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of activity, there's stuff going on. For the extrovert, time spent alone is wasted time. It's just too quiet. Okay, so you understand the differences? Now, how many of you here would categorize yourself as an introvert? Raise your hands if you would. Okay, most of the introverts are afraid to raise their hands, so you can't really tell. How many of you would characterize yourselves as extroverts? Raise your hands. All right, okay. Now, here's the deal. Usually in a marriage, you don't have two introverts or two extroverts. Sometimes that happens, but it's rare. Usually in a marriage, one is an introvert, real quiet into themselves, and the other one is the extrovert. They're very outspoken, very outgoing. And each of those, so there's opposite personalities, and each of them resolves conflict differently. When there's conflict, what does the extrovert want to do? Talk about it. When do they want to talk about it? Right now, right? The extrovert says, hey, we got to deal with this thing, and we got to deal with it right now and get it over with. What does the introvert want to do? Does the introvert want to talk about it? What does the introvert want to do? They want to think about it. They want to address the issue when? Later, maybe never, yeah. Okay? So you see there's a lot of potential for conflict, right? So one of them says, hey, we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it right now. The other one says, I just want to think about it, and I'm not sure I even want to deal with it ever. Okay? So a lot of potential for conflict. So let's just give an example. Let's say Bill and Sally are a married couple, and they're in conflict. There's nobody here named Bill and Sally, right? I don't want to start a fight between it. Okay. So let's say Bill and Sally are in conflict. And let's assume that Bill is the introvert. He's the quiet to himself, want to think things through. And let's say that Sally is the extrovert. She's the outspoken and, loves crowds, loves activity, that kind of stuff. So there's a conflict between Bill and Sally. What does Sally want to do about the conflict? She wants to talk about it. When does she want to talk about it? Right now. Bill is the introvert. What does he want to do? He wants to think about it, right? He doesn't want to talk about it right now. He wants to think it over. He wants to process it. So here's this disagreement. Bill doesn't know what to say. He's not really sure what he's supposed to say. And if he knew what to say, he doesn't really know how to say it. And so maybe he's got thoughts and he's got emotions, but there's a fear, if I say it the wrong way, it's going to come across, it's going to hurt her. And so he doesn't say anything. He doesn't want to talk about it right now. Sally, she wants to talk about it right now so that the relationship will be in harmony again. She feels disconnected from Bill and doesn't like that, and so she wants to talk about it and get it resolved so that the relationship is back on track. So what do? Bill goes out to the garage because he wants to process it. He wants to think it over. What is Sally's response to that? She's angry. He's avoiding the issue. And maybe she's on the phone talking to some of her friends about it. She needs to process it verbally. She needs to talk about it. So a little bit later on, he comes in for supper. She wants to talk about it. We got to talk about it right now. He doesn't want to talk about it. He accuses her of being a nag. She accuses him of being insensitive. Angry words are spoken, doors slammed, tears are shed. The conflict just escalates and spirals out of control. And before very long, both of them have completely forgotten what the actual issue is they were disagreeing on to start with. All they know is they both are very angry and they both feel very misunderstood. Now, does this sound familiar at all? I know not with any of you, but we've heard of those examples, right? So it happens. It happens sometimes. That's what I've been told anyway.